I'd like to call this meeting to order, this regular City Council work session of Tuesday, April 4th. The clerk will call the roll.
Mayor Wolcott.
Here.
Vice Mayor Tandy.
Here.
Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Hall.
Here.
Councilmember Remley.
Here.
Councilmember Hayden.
Here.
Councilmember Winters.
Here.
Thank you.
And Councilmember Williams is excused.
Okay, thank you.
All right. At this time, I'd ask that you all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next is call to the public.
No
Okay.
request, Mayor.
All right. And next we have our work session agenda, which consists of about 4 items. So item number 1.
This is a presentation and discussion of public service funding priorities for the Community Development Block Grant Program, third year annual action plan for year 2017-2018.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the council. I'm Christina Ramirez, and I work under Human Service and Community Vitality. As we do every year, we're coming to you to discuss the funding priorities for public service funding as well as citywide CDBG funding. We wanted to discuss with you the different applications that were received for public service grants, as well as the funding recommendations that have been forwarded by the Planning and Zoning Commission. So just as background, the City of Surprise is a direct CDBG entitlement community. Last year, we received $585,139. We're going to be using that same amount in this discussion today. We have not received the funding numbers for this year. It's anticipated that we're not going to receive the numbers until probably sometime in May. And then from there, they're going to give us 60 days or July 15th to be able to turn in the annual action plan. And so for now, although we have some program numbers put in there, we know that these will probably change. At that time, when we do receive the numbers, then we will come back to finalize the priorities along with the actual budget for each. When talking about the 585 number, if we set aside 15%, which is the maximum allowable for public services, then we're talking about approximately $87,700 that can be appropriated to public services. The timeline started in January, where we had an application period for public service funding. We had a Planning and Zoning public hearing in March, where we allowed applicants to talk about their applications and their priorities. We had a second public hearing to talk about the recommendations that were moved forward. We are coming to you today to discuss the item, but the April 18th date is going to be tabled for now for the fact that, again, we have not received final numbers from HUD. Initially, the application is due May 15th of every year, but this year HUD is making an exception. From the date that we receive the actual numbers, we have 60 days to turn in the application. As you are aware, in order to be able to use the Community Development Block Grant, the public service funding, the people that are helped with this funding have to be of low to moderate income. They have to or be in an area benefit. An area benefit in the City of Surprise is only in the original town site, or be from a limited clientele, which is a specialized population such as elderly, adults with disabilities, people with AIDS, those sorts of populations that are in a special type of need. This year, we received quite a few applications for the public service portion. I believe that we received a total of 12 for a total ask of $206,466. From here, we did forward a recommendation to Planning and Zoning to fund $3,000 to aid to adoption to special kids, $14,700 to Benavia, $8,000 to Central Arizona Shelter Services, $20,000 to Surprise Community Action Program, $8,000 to mentally ill kids in distress, $6,000 to Sojourner, $10,000 to St. Mary's Food Bank, and $18,000 to the Sun Health Foundation, for a total of $87,700. That is the first portion having to do with public services. Did you have any questions to ask, or do you want me just to keep going through the annual action plan?
Are there any questions, members? I don't see any, so you can proceed.
All right.
Oh, excuse me, I do see one. Ken Rumley, would you like to ask a question? Council member?
Thank you, Mayor. My first question is, what questions did Planning and Zoning have concerning these funding recommendations?
The majority of the questions had to do with basically they asked a question with regard to the total I think the total funding amount that is received by St. Mary's Food Bank, and I know that they did forward some information regarding how many applicants they get that are residents of Surprise. I know that the 10,000 amount it hits a very small part of that population, but that was generally the biggest question that I recall from them.
The second question is, the various organizations that we're sponsoring here, are these all Surprise organizations? And if not, why not?
That's a great question. Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the council, all of these organizations are not within the city of Surprise, but they do assist Surprise residents. A lot of these organizations are regional organizations. Surprise does, I believe, need more nonprofits in the area in order to support the growing population. But for now, what we do is we help fund to assure that there is more presence in the area. And every time that they bill us, they have to show us who it is specifically that they're helping, their address and their situation, so that we're assured that the help is going to a Surprise resident.
Correct. In discussions that you and I have had in the past, you've indicated that the amount that you allocated to each of these organizations was commensurate with the benefit that was being being provided to Surprise residents, pretty much. Is that correct?
Again, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the council. Yes, the amount that is being used is specifically for Surprise residents. Now, there are a few of these organizations that help more residents than the funding that we provide them, but we're helping them leverage other grant funds that they receive in fundraising that they do also.
Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Mayor Tandy.
Thank you. The change in timeline, is that somewhat related to any discussions that our contacts you have with the federal government? Are they discussing potentially changing the funding levels?
Yes, thank you for the question. Madam Chair, members of the council, we have received notices that have come through HUD as well as through our partners at the county that have indicated that there seems to be a cut to community development block grants. The way that they have translated those for now seem to be a reduction of about 13% is what they're considering at this time, because they are forming the budget and they're trying to come up with some alternative resources and such. It's going to take a little bit longer for them to approve the budget and then get the numbers to us that we can then give priorities and projects assigned to it. But yes, there has been some discussion, but again, right now it's been right around the 13 to 15% difference.
Okay, so there's a possibility we might need to reprioritize dollars from these amounts.
There is a possibility, and that's why today we just want to discuss with you the initial prioritization and projects that have come up, but we don't want to finalize until we actually get the numbers, because if that's the case where we have to kind of reshuffle the deck a little bit, we don't want to have to redo the entire process.
Right. And how soon after they announce do we receive the funds? Do we receive the funds before we spend the funds, or is this a reimbursement grant?
Madam Chair, members of the council, that's an interesting part that always kind of occurs for this funding. Generally, the HUD representatives have to approve or make comment. If not, we consider it approved by the August 15th, August 30th timeframe. And so, although the funding has a July 1st date, we don't actually get funds until then. Until I have a letter in my hand that says you may now release funds, we do not commit any funds because they're not ours to commit yet. And so we do have to wait a little bit. So probably be about the October, November timeframe that they're actually available.
Okay, thank you.
You can proceed.
Thank you. So in discussing the annual action plan year 3 priorities, we have pulled the different projects and such from our consolidated plan. Now, our consolidated plan is a 5-year plan that basically talks about the trajectory of these funds and the different comprehensive role that we're taking, the strategy that we're taking in order to get the most out of the funding. This year, we're looking at funding public services, neighborhood improvement projects that includes to accelerator improvements, kind of a phase 2, as well as some senior center improvements. We are also looking to launch a pilot program for micro enterprise grants and set aside some funding also for the emergency housing rehabilitation program, as well as the administration portion for the implementation of the funding. For neighborhood improvements, for the Accelerator Phase 2, this will be for the suites that are part of the CAP office, along with some of the adjoining suites that will allow for use immediately, but then also be able to be used in the future for continued expansion of Accelerator tenants. We're looking to do some work at the senior center with regard to a refrigerator and stove replacement, as well as some upgrades to the internet and communication and security system that is presently there. When talking about the micro enterprise grants, we're looking at a pilot program of a maximum of approximately $60,000, where we would give a minimum award of $5,000 and a maximum award of $20,000 to people that want to start a business or want to provide a product that is necessary within the original town site with this fund. The emergency home repair program is looking for about $150,000 worth of funding that would allow for a minimum of 15 projects at $10,000 per project. And then the administrative is everything that is necessary in order for us to be in compliance with our contract, our different consolidated plan, action plan, advertising for housing activities, everything having to do with staff costs for the oversight of the program. So currently, the administrative portion funds 1.5 staff person and some advertising expenses. So the total annual action plan right now, when considered at $585,139, is made up of, again, $150,000 for neighborhood infrastructure, $20,000 for senior center improvements, $60,000 for the micro enterprise grants, $150,411 for emergency home repair, $87,700 for public service, and $117,28 for admin. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Hall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Christine, the micro enterprise grants are within the original town site.
Well, the micro enterprise grants can be given to a person that qualifies under the low to moderate income that is a Surprise resident. They can be a Surprise resident from anywhere in Surprise.
Oh, okay.
Or they can be a person that is coming to Surprise that wants to offer a specialized service that is necessary. Let's say, for example, dental is a very needed service within the original town site that is affordable. So if we have somebody starting a business that wants to offer the discounted dental, then we would consider that also. But no, they can be anywhere from Surprise as long as they meet the qualifications.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? All right.
Thank you very much.
Chris.
Councilmember Remley, you did have a question after all.
A follow-up on the micro enterprise grants.
Yes.
You indicated in your presentation just a moment ago that you were applying for up to 15 of these micro enterprise grants ranging up to $10,000 each, yet the number is 60,000.
The initial number that you're referring to, I believe, is the Housing Rehabilitation Emergency Repair Program. That's 150,000 of a minimum of 15 projects at 10,000 each.
Oh, okay.
The micro enterprise is a minimum of 5, a maximum of 20, for a minimum of 3 grants.
So you're looking at a limited number of grants. Now, these businesses have to be located within the original town site?
No, they can be located within Surprise. They would just have to meet the low to moderate income criteria. We have a lot of business owners that kind of try to launch a dream, let's say, and they, stop working. They pull out their savings. They try to work with it. They work and try to get a patent. By the time they're done with the patent attorneys, they're not left with a whole lot, and then just need some funding to actually get started with some of the products and such. Those are the type of people that we're reaching out to, but they can be located anywhere within Surprise as long as they meet the eligibility criteria.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, council members. That seems to be all of the questions. Thank you very much. This looks like you put a lot of thought into it, and we appreciate this report. Next item.
Item number 2 is presentation and discussion pertaining to the Community Development Block Annual Action Plan 2017-2018. Is that the same one?
That's what we just did.
Okay, we're going on to number 3. Presentation and discussion pertaining to a Surprise Youth Council update on recent activities and accomplishments.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is Samantha Salazar, and we want to thank you for the support and the opportunities provided by the city. We also want to thank you for the opportunity to provide you an update this afternoon. The Youth Council strives for meaningful representation of the diverse range of backgrounds, experiences, needs, interests of the youth of Surprise. We're putting our efforts into prioritizing projects and initiatives that will allow us to reach new sections of our local youth, as well as have an impact far beyond our 20 members. We believe we are positioned to achieve great things in the coming year, and your support is a crucial component to these efforts. Now, we'd like to share some of our most recent activities and accomplishments. This year, SYC had a specific goal in mind in recruitment. In order to more accurately represent the wants and needs of the youth, we needed to diversify our council. In order to achieve these goals, we used several different strategies. All SYC members made presentations to peer groups such as NHS, Student Council, drama clubs, and general education classes. We used Remind 101, which is a texting app that can share information with large groups of people. We went out and did some hand-to-hand recruitment in the OTS, going to the parks and gym. We asked guidance counselors at all 7 high schools to help us reach as of yet unengaged students who they felt had great potential. We released a press release to the City of Surprise, and we reached out to groups such as the Surprise LGBTQ plus Allies Clubs. Through these efforts, we were able to diversify the council's makeup, adding greater representation from the local Dysart Unified School District high schools, underrepresented neighborhoods, and a greater overall balance to our gender and racial makeup. Most of all, we have built a great deal of momentum and are excited to see how the new members will contribute to the council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Isabella DeVlieger. One of the most enriching experiences that I've had the privilege of enjoying with Surprise Youth Council has been my involvement with a program called Bloom 365. This program is designed to prevent teen dating abuse by fostering healthy relationships and ending the widespread promotion of violence in social media. Its most unique element is the fact that it's taught by teens themselves, which makes the content more accessible and relatable to those who go through the program. Because Surprise Youth Council has been working to implement this program in as many high schools as possible, we have the potential to impact hundreds of students in Surprise.
The program has already been fully completed in Paradise Honors High School. It was taught by 4 students who attend there, including myself, and the program took place over the course of 7 days. We've already heard many success stories from people who have gone through the programs. They've provided testimonies about how they've been able to apply this content in their lives. The Surprise Youth Council is currently working on implementing more training programs during the summer and teaching more teens how to become trainers so then they can carry the curriculum on into their own schools. We've met with Dysart Unified School District, and we're working on getting the classes into Dysart schools by next school year. Thank you.
Hello, Madam Mayor and Chair. I'm Gabriela Garcia, and I'm the chair of the training committee. I, along with the Surprise Youth Council, want to make teens shine for college admissions and also in the workplace. We have had successes in doing so by creating an SAT prep class for students because we realize that not all have the resources to pay for a private tutor. We're also partnering in hosting a job fair in April where local businesses will come together to offer opportunities for teens to hold jobs within their city. Internal SYC opportunities include scholarship resources and resume building practice presented by Ms. Donna Muse. In addition, we've had public speaking practice because communication can make an influence, and if you can influence, you can change lives. Therefore, through initiative, motivation, hard work, and creativity, we can measure the promise of our community, country, and world through the education of our talented and ambitious youth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Madam Chair and Council. I'm Connor Williams, and the Youth Council allows teens and the greater youth of Surprise to get involved in many different events across our city and beyond. It also gives us the opportunity to learn from our city's leaders, such as you guys. Not only can we learn from our leaders, but we can take what we've learned and use it to grow and become better leaders ourselves. Not many teens get this opportunity, so we consider ourselves fortunate. In order to strengthen the relationship between the Surprise Youth Council and the City Council, we are currently working on a way to communicate with our City Council more regularly in a more informal setting by partnering each City Council member with a small group of Surprise Youth Council members once per quarter. We hope to hold small group conversations that will allow Council to be more informed about the initiatives each are engaged in and to explore the potential for greater partnership. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Madam Chair and Council. Can you guys hear me? Yes, okay. My name is Michaela Barrera, and 4 months ago, on November 16th, my life changed. I got the most amazing opportunity to travel to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania with 8 other members, including my 2 advisors. We participated in the National League of Cities Youth Leadership Conference, where we met with other eager teens around the world. Who also were a part of youth councils. We exchanged ideas, numbers, and had serious discussions that affect teens all over the world. One of our officers even hugged Terry Bradshaw. We did many things, such as sit in on different workshops, where I engaged in one focusing on the relationship between teens and police officers. And I also spoke on Pittsburgh radio show, discussing what we are doing in the City of Surprise and spoke on subjects affecting our youth. More importantly, though, I really created a bond with my fellow members and advisors. We all really connected on this trip, and we really did create friendships that I will cherish forever. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is McKenna Bredding Goodrich, and it is important in today's society for youth to be more involved and to give back to their community. Community outreach and Surprise Youth involvement is something the Surprise Youth Council holds as a priority. Surprise Youth Council has taken on numerous projects that have allowed us to engage in very important projects, such as right now we're working on a water outreach program in which we're partnering with local businesses to bring water to the homeless community in Surprise. We're hoping this project will be done by the end of summer. And then we are also working on a school supplies drive to give tools that teachers need in the middle of the year that are running out. We're also partnering with local businesses. We're hoping to give those school supplies by the end of this week, early next week. We have also been able to walk in the Veterans Day Parade with many of you, and we were very happy to do that. We are looking forward to do that next year with you guys. The Surprise Youth Council continues to look for opportunities where we can leave a footprint in Surprise to let them know that today's youth is encouraged about the bright future Surprise has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Ariel Hatton, and tonight I will be speaking about the Issues and Research Committee. Currently, at a vast majority of the high schools, there are no mental or emotional counselors available to students. We want to benefit the students and the district by achieving their priorities. Emotional and social health resources would increase the overall health of the school system. Our goal is to ensure that local students have the support they need to be successful and to assist the local high schools with improving their system. We will seek to accomplish this goal by leveraging partnerships between the local government, a nonprofit, businesses, and school organizations to provide the students at our local high schools with emotional and social counseling resources. We have already met with some of these partners and have spoken with the city's Director of Government and Community Partnerships. Students deserve to have access to this kind of support at such a challenging time in their lives. The SYC is dedicated to bettering the lives of teens and striving to be a voice for the youth. We feel that this initiative addresses both of those priorities, and we thank you for your support. At this time, we would like to ask if the council would be open to signing a letter to be written and presented at a future date expressing the council's general support of our initiative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is Riley Pollard, and I've been on the Surprise Youth Council since 2015. Level 4 was my baby. It was an event that I was trying to make happen since last year, along with the rest of my council. This year, we were not only able to make it happen, but we were able to make it happen successfully. We're told time and again that we need to make teens want to stay in our city, that we need to bring our community together, give them a sense of place and a sense of purpose. That's what Level 4 did. We were able to bring together a wide and diverse group of students from across the city for a night of harmless and organic fun. Think of what's usually at a party. We had that and more. Food, music, a photo booth, air hockey, glow-in-the-dark cornhole, we had everything. And the 230 students who attended absolutely loved it. We got nothing but positive feedback from our peers, and we sincerely hope that we're able to make it an annual City of Surprise event. In words that will excite some and definitely scare risk management, it's an event that will only grow and get better. We just want to sincerely thank you guys for believing in our abilities and our purpose and allowing us to light up the city for a night.
Thank you.
Hello, Madam Chair and Council. My name is Valeria Ortiz. And now, in order to get an event like Level 4 off the ground, we decided that we needed to go and have a comprehensive ad campaign to help get the word out. We felt that the campaign was so critical towards Level 4 success that we created an entirely new subcommittee that focused solely on the advertisement. During our first meetings, we decided that we wanted to forego the traditional routes of communication through the city and develop a more organic campaign. Our goal was to connect with the teens in Surprise as much as possible and let it be known that it was a party for teens created by teens. To do this, we relied on word-of-mouth promotion and hand-to-hand flyering around our high schools. We also created an Instagram account solely for our event and periodically posted relevant content, including a mysterious ad video or video series that was filmed by the ad committee in various different locations around Surprise, which had a combined view count of 1,741 views. While our overall method might have been a little unorthodox, we would like to thank you all for allowing us to embrace this concept and for letting us explore a creative route to best connect with the local youth. In conclusion, this year was one filled with hard work for the Surprise Youth Council. As we continue to grow in numbers and in visibility within our community, our eagerness to inspire social change and to give youth a voice in our city grows alongside with it. whether that means tackling serious issues that surround domestic violence or mental health, or whether it be something as light as throwing a party for the youth a surprise. One thing stays the same, and that is our commitment towards service for all youth, regardless of their age, gender, sexual orientation, race, etc. We are ecstatic to see what our future holds for our council and hope to continue on with your continued support. If you have any questions, we would love to answer any and all that you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. I know that there will be questions, but I have to say, I think I can speak for all of us that we're very impressed with how much you've done. And I particularly want to compliment you on this comprehensive report. I think this is a great way to speak to the council and also at the same time speak to the rest of the residents so that they know what Surprise Youth Council is all about. So thank you for personalizing the initiative of Surprise Youth Council and letting the people know what you're all about, because they're going to be impressed. So thank you very much for being here this evening. Vice Mayor Tandy.
I wanted to say the same thing. I'm really impressed with the quantity, the quality, and the diversity of the projects, and they're all making a difference, I think, in the city. And you're actually creating the foundation of the city for the youth. And some of these initiatives, I'm sure, will go on for a long time, and some might change a little bit. I don't know. Maybe they'll all go on, and you'll be able to add new ones as you go. But I think these were all needed things for the city, and I'm glad that everybody jumped in and made it happen.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thanks so very much. Oh, good job. Excellent job. All right. Last item.
This is a presentation and discussion pertaining to the City of Surprise Utility Billing Administration.
This is So now that we got everybody's attention, looks like we need to get the attention of some other folks too.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of council. We're here tonight to give a customer service utility billing update. And I have with me Dawn Roden and Terry Lowe as well. So on March 1st, 2016, so 1 year ago, council decided to bring utility billing in-house. And I am so proud. I stand here very proud today because I think of all the things we accomplished in such a short time.
Yeah.
For really what we've done, what we created. And the team is such a great team. I wanted to thank them. Everyone that's just been involved has done such a great job and have really been committed to that value that we stood here and said, if we take this in-house, we're going to provide improved customer service, accurate and timely bills. And we have really done that. And I'm just very proud of the team and everything that they have done. So with that, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those high-level things that we have done. So first off, call volumes. So as you know, call volumes were high in the beginning. They have drastically dropped since then. And that goes to show, people were concerned, they had called, they had issues, and our continued diligence in improving our customer services have dropped. We expect, about 7,000 to 8,000 calls a month to be about where we're going to fall on your normal month. Wait times has also hand in hand have dropped significantly. As you remember, back in the beginning of transition, we had some instances where we had 20 minutes were the wait times. So you can see an average in December, it was only 9 minutes, but those instances of those 20 minutes were really not what we wanted to provide. And we have, really tried hard to get those call volumes down. And just this quick story, one day I went in and asked Dawn, I said, okay, what are the call trends? When are our high call volumes? Trying to understand more about it. And he pulls up this spreadsheet. And as you can imagine, I love a good spreadsheet. So, and he's got it down to the 10-minute increments of when people are calling, what day, when people's breaks are, when their lunches, when they start their day, when they end their day. I mean, it is down to that level of detail. And it's a flexible document. It's one where just goes to show the dedication the team has because they'll move their breaks. They flexible because they move with the call volumes and the trends to make sure that those volumes stay low and under 2 minutes, and that we're really providing that customer service that we're striving for. So they really just do an excellent job. So city cashier, as you know, we remodeled the cashier area to provide a better customer service experience as well. So on average, we broke it down between utility billing and general billing. As you can see, there's, a lot of foot traffic that comes in as well. In the general billing, those items are permits, business license, passports, those items that are serviced through there. So about, 4,000 customers a month come through cashiering. And just want to give you dollar value perspective of what comes through there. You can see general billing can vary depending on if we have a one-time large payment that comes through, permits, a big project that's going on, and utility billing, we expect to be pretty consistent. And some of the options, so we wanted to enhance customer options through billing and also payment. And we were really excited, and 10,000 people agreed with me that paperless billing was a good option. So we're really excited about that one, that 10,000 people. So this was a service that was not offered previously. So since go live in November, 10,000 people have signed up for paperless billing, which we're just really excited that we're providing those services that people want. And also the 9,000 automatic payments. So these numbers you can see, that's people getting set up. Those are some of those phone calls that we took. Those are people walking into the cashier, setting those people up successfully. So now they don't need to call in for help. They don't need to call in to make their payment. They're set up. They can be taken care of without interrupting their day. And on that, we're also continually looking for better options and convenient options for people to pay. One thing I think we're going to try and roll out are text message. So you get a text message that your bill's due, and you can reply in a secured text message and pay your bill. So really trying to just provide whatever options people might want to pay. So the next step of that promise that we made of after customer service was the billing, timely and accurate bills. So two of the things we looked at, completeness and accuracy. So is everyone getting a bill, and is that bill accurate? There were some instances where someone would be getting 3 services from the city, but their bill would only actually have 2. So they're paying for only 2 of the 3. So we went through, scrubbed the data, reviewed everything. And this isn't just a transition approach for us. This is something we'll continually do as part of operations, is scrub that data, make sure it's accurate, make sure we're doing this on an ongoing basis. So when we have changes that happen, people are constantly moving in, moving out. We have third-party vendors that provide water service. So really making sure all those pieces are in line to provide accurate and timely bills. So with those efforts, and you can really see, I feel like the dedication of the team to provide that is approximately 1,600 water customers and 3,000 sewer and trash receiving services that either they weren't getting billed for or not billed correctly. And as a result, is about 140,000 monthly revenue, which equates to about 1.7 million annually in revenues that we have now billing for. So I think this just shows the dedication and that hard work of our team to go through all of this since November.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Andre, on that, you're saying that they weren't billed by Arizona American before?
Madam Chair, Councilmember Hall, there were instances where there could be a couple different versions. Yes, so they just were never billed. They weren't billed, or they weren't billed a service. And we've gone through, and as much as we can prove and determine that they never received a bill.
Wow. Okay.
Or they received a bill and didn't, chose not to pay it. But these are instances where they just did not receive a bill for that service.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
Have you sorted out the difference between those who received a bill and chose not to pay it and those who didn't receive a bill?
Madam Chair, yes, we have. We've gone through, and from what we have determined and what we're confident about for those customers that have just didn't receive their bill, we added that charge to their service, and they're now being billed for it. And the customers that have been billed but continue not to pay are another category where there was nothing wrong with their bill, everything was fine, mail wasn't returned. We can tell that there's notes in the file that that previous vendor billed them. No, so we know that we're confident that they received their bill. They just haven't continued to pay.
Okay. Councilmember Winters.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, you guys have a lot to be proud of. You're doing a really great job. And you don't know how nice it is not to feel any questions from my constituents about American water. It's one of the best things we ever did. You guys doing a great job. Complaints are way down.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Tandy.
Thanks. On some of the people that never received a bill, are we going to look at, or do we have a way of having a historic meter read that shows that they were in the property and coming up with a new meter read and maybe asking them to pay for all that they actually used so that we can recoup some of this? And then if that bill might be large, will we have a payment plan?
Yes, Madam Chair, Councilmember Tandy, Vice Mayor Tandy, we have part of our scrubbing. That's what we identified. It was because we didn't want to, we wanted to be confident that they received their bill, that they're shut off, that their meter reads were happening. So all of those, did they have a meter? Was there documented that they moved in, that service took place? If all those instances were in place, then we were confident that yes, they received a bill, that's when they started, and that's when their service. In general, for those people that didn't receive the charge, we have started billing them, but at this point, our effort is just to start billing forward and correcting it and moving forward with that plan. For those customers that we can tell were charged but didn't choose a plan, there are payment options available for them. So we'll definitely work with customers to provide whatever they need. There are some significant large bills on the next slide. I was going to talk about delinquencies and moving forward to that. But for those customers that we've identified as received a bill but not paid, on average, they're 10 months behind. So there's 10 months that they haven't paid. So there are some very significant balances. And our approach is, we are going to start moving towards the delinquency process, which I'll just go ahead. So our next step.
If I can, before you move into the next step, Councilmember Ramley has a question.
I'll talk about that in delinquencies.
If you would go back a couple of slides where you were talking about paperless billing.
Yes.
Each one of these paperless accounts, how much would you say would you estimate that saves us a month just in envelope costs, sending them a bill, printing it out, and also getting the money back, processing a check, etc. How much would you say that this saves us by these measures?
Madam Chair, members of council, at a minimum, about 52 cents. So 10,000 paperless bills represents at least $5,200 a month in savings.
That's great.
Some of it is, some postages are higher than that, so it'd be a little bit higher, but generally about 52 cents.
And also processing the bill pay, probably another 50 cents to a buck.
Yes, it is another significant savings, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Now you can move on.
So the next steps, now that we're speaking delinquencies, so the next steps we wanted to focus on, now that we're confident in our data, as I had mentioned before, and moving forward with more of those operational processes, such as, the unfortunate process of the delinquencies. So the next step are the delinquencies. Now that we're confident in our data, now that we think everyone's been set up properly on their payment options, that those transitional issues have been identified and addressed, we're going to move forward to the delinquency process. And as we spoke about before, really focusing on and our focus will be on those customers that have received a bill, but have chosen not to pay. So those will be our focus. And we will work with people, we'll set up payment plans, and we'll definitely work with those people to get them back on track. So in April, so we're starting this month, sending a one-time delinquent letter out to just the delinquent customers. So not every customer will receive it, only if they're 60 days past due will they receive a delinquent notice. Then they'll receive another letter 10 days before they're scheduled for shut off. And then, as we mentioned, there'll be payment plan options available as well. So with that, if there's any more additional questions on that, I'm going to turn it over to Terry to speak about stormwater.
Councilmember Ramley.
Yes, I just had one comment. When we switched over to doing the job ourselves instead of hiring somebody else to do it, I think we had concluded that we could do it for about the same price that the other guys were charging us, right?
That is correct.
So are we to conclude that possibly we have a pickup by as much as $1.7 million a year as a result of doing it ourselves?
Madam Chair, Councilmember Rembley, that is correct.
Thank you very much.
I think Councilmember Ramley speaks for all of us. We and I know that our city manager says thank you very much as well, because we definitely need every resource made available to our city to make certain that we provide nothing but the best services to our residents. And so I just want to applaud all of you, Terry, and your entire team for making this happen. We talked about it. We beat our heads over this issue for several years before we finally decided to take the leap. And thank goodness we did. So excellent work. You should be proud. And so job well done. And I know that our constituents are really appreciating this new service. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Madam Chair, members of council, now I'm going to speak about the non-residential portion, the commercial portion of the stormwater program here. And as Andrea mentioned, the data mining, scrubbing, you name it, that went on in this process was daunting. And so from a stormwater utility standpoint, we took care of the heaviest amount of customers. That would be our residential customers first as part of the utility billing process. The non-residential, the commercial billing part, lagged a little bit because, again, more data had to be mined. But we're going to be billing for these here very shortly. And I want to just bring some of you members of council up to speed as to a little bit of recap of the program. Some of you weren't on council, how things were calculated, and where we are statistically. So if you recall, the stormwater utility was adopted in May of 2016. The rates were established, the dollar amount of the rate was established based on the level of service. It ended up being about $2 per equivalent dwelling unit. For non-residential, that it was based on, you just calculate the amount of impervious surface area for a commercial parcel, and you times it by that $2 that was established as part of the residential level of service. We had a commercial credit program that would allow commercial businesses to partake in some form of assistance to the utility, and then that would in turn see a reduction in their rate. Unfortunately, we did not have any partakers in the first go-around, but we'll continually advertise the credit program on a yearly basis until such time we see that it is not a benefit to the city or to the customers. So I think we may have had no participation because it was very early in the process. And so when we went live in November, the residential portion of stormwater utility was billed for. Now here we are talking about non-residential. So if you recall, our utility rate structure, again, we're dealing with here, we're going to talk about the commercial and industrial portion, which is the number of EDUs equals the impervious surface area divided by that residential amount. When we talk about commercial, we'll also include agriculture, undeveloped land, which is exempt, and improved land, which as we went through this process, council determined that we would base it on a use-by-use basis, but we've realized that when land gets improved, the native characteristics of it are no longer there, and that can have just as much runoff as asphalt or a rooftop. So, for example, from a non-residential customer, commercial customer, I use a Chick-fil-A as an example because Chick-fil-A owns their own building. Some of the other fast food restaurants in the city don't own their own building. Chick-fil-A does. And so, for example, Chick-fil-A site is about 42,500 square feet, 12 EDUs, $24 a month or $288 a year. And actually, important point I failed to mention, we'll be billing commercial accounts on an annual basis because some of them, if you look at the amounts here from a business standpoint, sending a bill out every month for such a small dollar amount doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So for farmland, this is actually a parcel of farmland in the city. They pay 10% of the amount. And so for a piece of farmland, it's 6.5 million square feet. they're about 188 EDUs, about $4,500 a year. So all in all, for the amount of land that's there, the dollar amount to service that piece of land is reasonable. So from a non-residential stormwater basis there, so we looked at about 1,100 bills, 1,100 parcels, commercial parcels we had. Anticipated revenue from our rate study is about $1 million. We had to work with several out-of-state landowners, cross-coordination between the ACC, county assessor, our internal GIS, was done by several people within the city, and we went account by account, parcel by parcel to make sure we got it right. And even in many instances, we had just goofs. There was not a marriage between the owner and the parcel, and so that we continue to scrub that. And I think we'll work that through as we further refine and understand our parcels, our customers. So our billing strategy, again, the bills will go out annually. They go to the landowner or the property owner, not the tenant. In many cases, it goes to the owner of the land. He or she built the structure, developed the impervious surface area, hits the runoff. The first bill will cover the go live to the end of the billing cycle till July of 2017. Future bills after that will be annually. And then, so if there's any questions, we have our a customer service hotline, of course, but also a stormwater hotline. That number is also on the bills. So if people have questions about how their area, their number of EDUs was calculated, we have stormwater personnel, in addition to customer service, answering those questions, as well as we have online payment available as well. I believe that's it. Questions or comments?
Councilmember Remley.
Yes, I just have one question. Has consideration been given to, as you indicated, sometimes you have a property owner, he does not otherwise get a billing from the city, and you're billing him $24 a month, which is expensive. Just like when we get our utility bill, there's a charge on there for billing. Have you considered possibly introducing a billing fee for sending the bill?
Madam Chair, Councilmember Renly, that's actually a very interesting point. I do not believe we've taken that into consideration for the commercial side of things. In part of the rate study, we assumed that there was some overhead built into the utility in order to be able to send bills out. We could certainly look into that.
Right, because with the residential customers, they're already getting a billing for their water bill from the city Surprise or whatever, and so it's just being included as another line item, and that doesn't really cost us anything to do that. But where they're just getting a billing for the stormwater, maybe we should have a billing fee of some sort for those instances, which would help recoup the cost of the administrative part of sending a bill.
Well, I'd have to look at the rate study, but I believe actually that overhead is built into the $2 amount. I need to double check it. It's been some time.
Correct, except that the residential customers, it really doesn't cost anything to do that. Okay, whereas on these other guys it does.
Okay, I understand.
Councilmember Hall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, Terry, Rancho Mercado. We were out there this morning and they were moving dirt.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be doing the roads. Explain to me how that works.
Very good question.
I mean, I was just thinking about it.
The simple answer is they're currently native land.
Right.
So no bill.
Right.
When they start moving dirt, they will fall under the stormwater management plan that they've got, the SWIP that they've got to establish for their development, in which case they are responsible for all of the runoff associated with their development. Again, they are still exempt. If they were to, I don't want to name certain developments, but if they were to develop, stop, take down their SWIP, and have improved land, they would be then charged either a commercial rate, or if they have pads, in many cases, some developments cut pads. You can tell where the houses would go.
Right.
$2 a pad. And then the other land in bulk would be charged at the commercial rate.
Okay, so they're exempt just putting roads in.
They would be exempt because they've got stormwater management in place that actually is above and beyond what we would experience as the utility. They have to stop everything. Their runoff has to be stopped.
Once they start cutting lots.
Once they start cutting lots, and if they were to take down their stormwater management plan as part of the construction that they have to do, they fall under the utility.
Gotcha. Thanks, Terry.
Vice Mayor Tandy.
Thanks. Kind of follow on that question. What triggers them having to pay? Is it the permit process, or is it after the lot's been inspected and it's done? Which time frame?
I presume, Madam Chair, Councilmember Tanny, and Vice Mayor Tanny, I presume we're talking about after the construction is completed, or once they start moving dirt and blading the.
Okay, so as soon as the permit happens, that's one transition. After the construction's done, then it becomes residential.
That's correct.
And I think even the $2 fee is maybe a little bit more than we'd get on just the raw land or the.
That's correct.
Yeah. The other question is, with our first billing going out, I'm assuming it was prorated just for the 7 months. Do we have an idea, I mean, with all the out-of-state owners, do we have an idea of what compliance level we have yet? And if we need to look at.
I couldn't venture a guess at right now what we would see with compliance.
Okay, because that might be interesting. What kind of magnitude of effort we need to have going in when the July 1st or whenever the next bill goes out. Okay. Thanks.
No other questions? Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right. There is no executive session. We have approximately an hour and 4 minutes until the regular council meeting, so I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we just excuse ourselves.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. This meeting's adjourned.